Hi, and welcome to our full moon soul alignment session. I am Jenna. If you're new to me, hi, hello, and welcome. I am so glad that you are joining me to watch this. So, Libra full moon, let's get to it, right? If you've been feeling this energy lately, a lot of people tend to start feeling that energy and then they're like, and then once someone mentions, oh, it's about to be a full moon, then people are like, oh, yeah, okay, this is normal then. And that's something that we tend to notice. So, one of the things that I want to talk about with this full moon is what you might be noticing coming up a little bit more in your thought processes or just recognizing for yourself. So, first of all, if you're fairly new to astrology, something you should know, every full moon is actually a representation of the opposing zodiac signs. So the moon will always be in the opposite sign of the sun. So if for instance, we have the Libra full moon, it's because we are in the Aries sun sign right now. So anytime we are in the Aries sun sign, the full moon for that Aries season will be Libra because that is the opposing zodiac sign. So every full moon, we are working with opposing energies. And the reason why I'm pointing that out specifically with this one is because this recognition of duality, of extremes, of polarity is really strong with this Libra full moon because we're just coming off the eclipse energy, right? And we have this essence of recognizing our inner world and our outer world and the duality that exists within us and around us. And it's allowing us this place that helps us to seek balance a little bit more um, easily, dare I say, because in order to seek balance, we have to know what those extremes look like. We have to understand the polarity of things. And, case in point, a really, really great way of looking at that is when we even learn like a language, a word that encompasses like a certain meaning that really shifts the way that we begin to look at things, right? It's like opening up a brand new dialogue within us. So when we begin to recognize the duality of something going on inside of ourselves, it gives us a different viewpoint of, okay, well, that's not really what I want to feel, or this isn't really what I want to think, or, ooh, okay, I feel this, I'm recognizing this, but I want to be a little bit more to this way. So how do I shift that mindset? How do I shift the inner beliefs, the inner attachments that I have, so that I can begin to embody that a little bit more clearly. So, this full moon is really bringing up our ability to examine the duality of our inner and outer world. Something to point out with the energy of Libra, especially, is Libra is a sign that is about others, right? So we have zodiac signs that are really about the self and individual, and then we've got signs that are really focused on more humanity. And so Libra falls into that category. So when we think of examining duality and our inner and outer worlds, it's not just going through all of the inner stuff. It is also how it affects the outside world around us, how it affects the other people around us, how we can create more beauty in the world around us through that recognition. When I say beauty, I don't mean beauty like, I don't know, some stupid standard, but like beauty as in beauty, the way of life, right? Where it's like you're honoring and respecting all of life around you. That's what I mean about the beauty of life. So when we are really examining, the outer influence of how we create balance and how we can explore duality and find a more aligned place of balance. This is the energy that we're really working with this Libra full moon. As a Libra myself, I really, I really understand this. I know Libra awful so often gets lumped in with this kind of feeling of all about being partnerships and relationships and that sort of thing. And there is definitely an essence of that to Libra, right? We are about other people. We like relationships, we like partnerships, we like working with other people. We like doing things for other people, often to our own detriment. So with this energy in mind, if we are looking at how we're looking at the extremes, this can also look like how much you give versus how much you receive, and noticing relationship dynamics that might be off balance as well. But the thing with Libra is it always comes back to balance. We're always trying to seek harmony and balance and beauty, right? We are governed by the planet Venus. Venus is now direct, I believe. So we are really all about like just trying to find peace and bring peace and embody peace and help everyone else be at peace, right? And that would make the world a great place, right? So we come back to this very simplistic energy. However, life is not simple. And so it forces us to look at the duality that creates anything into existence, right? In order for something to exist, the opposite has to exist, right? That's what we learn. So, in this opposing force, in order to understand what peace is, you have to know what chaos is. And so, if you can look at, okay, well, this right here is too chaotic and I don't like this, it's not really aligning with what I want, then how can I embody more peace? How can I bring more peace in? And if things are far too peaceful and you're bored out of your mind, well, how can I stir things up a little bit and find that balance, right? This is that Libra energy. So if you're feeling like things are a little not really sure which direction you're going, that could be why. You're at that place where you need to be examining these polarities so you can find and navigate your way and pinpoint more of what you're truly desiring, what is more aligned to you and your heart. So that is truly what this Libra energy is all about. So let's talk about catalyst. So a term that I really love to use for triggers is catalyst. If we look at triggers and we call them triggers, it just seems like it has such a negative connotation. And I know for some people, triggers are very triggering and it's not a very good emotional time for you. However, when you're going through the healing process and you're recognizing triggers, but you're able to recognize them and work through them with a little more ease, I find it's a lot more pleasing to call them catalyst, right? That's what they are. They are catalyst to your growth. They are showing you the places that are, you know, just hitting something within you that needs your attention. It is your catalyst for growth. It's your internal challenge that you need to work through. And so this paired with, so this is the card that we got, catalyze. So this is an energy that is about change. It's about transformation. It's about looking at those pieces too. So let's talk about the duality. When we're faced with a trigger, when we're faced with a catalyst, right? The duality of that is in the recognition of that spark that it is creating inside you, right? That emotional energy that rises in you, that is a spark of energy. And that spark of energy, if you're choosing to ride the emotional roller coaster, that trigger, that catalyst can cause you to ride that emotional roller coaster into chaos. And maybe that's not where you want to go. So, what if recognizing that this is a catalyst for your growth, you turn towards that and you say, okay, this is the feeling that I'm feeling. What's the opposite of this feeling? What's the extremes of what I'm feeling right now? Let me go ahead and name those. Once I name those extremes, those polar extremes, the polarizing forces of this emotion that I'm feeling, Now I can begin to navigate my way to a middle ground, to a place of more balance, to a place of ease. And maybe if it's too strong and you can't go to a middle ground, perhaps you find just, maybe two steps in the other direction that makes it feel a little better for you, right? So this becomes a practice that you can use to help it to become a catalyst for growth. But that requires you to know the duality. So this energy we have right now that is really bringing us to this place of being able to transform by showing us the duality within ourselves and around us. This is what it's here for. It's here to be a catalyst for this transformation. Because once you're aware and once you see that, it gives you more freedom and more ability to then decide, okay, where can I find my clarity in this? Where can I navigate, and find that place of balance for myself? What does that look like for me? And what direction do I need to go to move the needle a little bit more in that direction? The second card that I pulled for this full moon energy, and this card comes from the Healing Waters Oracle, is called the Waterfall. And I love this. It says inner power, unbridled confidence, and claiming your place. And that's really what this energy is all about. It is you stepping more into you. It is you aligning more clearly to your path. So something you might be feeling right now too is clarity. You might actually be in a place of having more clarity. That is how it's affecting me right now. I feel like leading up to this, things were a little scattered and a little like uncertain and just kind of feeling out the energies. And now all of a sudden, it's like this clear, direct path. Things are falling into place. Things are making sense when I couldn't make sense of them before. And everything is just kind of lining up. And so this energy of clarity just has really been strong with this full moon as well. And this is coming from that ability to balance, to find that place of balance within you. Like I said, as a Libra myself, this is going to affect me more than someone that doesn't have any strong energies in Libra. I haven't looked at the full chart to know what other signs are going to be heavily affected. So I apologize for that. I didn't get a chance to do that before our class, but for right now, Libra, I know for sure. And that is how it's affecting me directly is it's brought a lot more clarity. It's brought a lot more decisive action of knowing the direction and the path and where to go and what decisions to make and just like full steam ahead. And so that energy in and of itself is very catalyzing to me because I'm actually getting stuff done. I feel that spark, that ignition within myself of like pushing ahead. So this has been really great energy coming off the tail end of all of that eclipse energy that we had. So if you did the inner work, if you've been working through things, if you've been navigating some of the inner world stuff, this could feel like a really good time for you as well. So one of the things that we like to do is look at maybe what needs to be released. What do you need to let go of? What beliefs are like outdated? Because if we don't take the time to examine our beliefs, then we're not really allowing ourselves the opportunity to grow. We're clinging to old ways of thinking, old ways of being, without taking into consideration if it's even valid for us in our new place of being. We are constantly evolving. We are meant to constantly be evolving creatures. So if we're not taking the time to re-examine beliefs and thought processes, right? Mindsets, then we're not allowing ourselves the ability to grow in those areas as we go through the processes of inner work, of shadow work, of, the healing journey and all of that. So we've got to take the time to really examine and go over and just, allow space in our life to have time for the inner reflection. And it's kind of sad and almost scary to say, but I know there's people out there that don't do that. I don't understand. So if you're here, you're watching me, you're probably not one of those people, right? But I don't understand what it would be like to move through life without ever pausing to examine a belief or attachments to something or your mindset around something and allowing for it to be pliable, to change as you grow, as you receive new information. So being able to offer spaciousness to yourself so you have that time for inner reflection is such a powerful process in and of itself. So one of the things that we like to do is practice embodying that energy. So because we're working with that Libra energy, that energy of harmony, of balance, of peace is just really strong with this full moon. So I would say choosing one of those words as like your mantra word for embodiment practices right now would be super powerful for you. So think about what word really hits just a little better for you. Is it balance? Is it harmony? Or is it peace? And once you have your word, take a few moments and really take that into your heart space. Like really breathe it in, really allow yourself to feel into what does that feel like? What does that feel like in your body? What would that feel like in your mind? What does that feel like to your soul, to your higher self? Does it feel more connected? Probably does. Can you think of a time in your life when you maybe had an experience that made you feel that? You have to know what that feels like to resonate with it. So, can you recall a memory? Can you recall a time when you felt that? And taking a few moments to just tune in and allowing for that feeling of peace or balance or harmony to really come in. What would it feel like? What would it be like if you could imagine yourself living from that place? How would it begin to affect your outer world? How might things be different for you? And as you feel this energy, this feeling moving through you, can you let yourself really anchor that in? Can you really let yourself embody it? Do you feel any resistance that needs to be released? Just allowing yourself to be mindful of that, of allowing your awareness to shift into that. What is any resistance that you might be feeling to this? Allow yourself to explore and examine. Let it go with your breath. Let yourself be a little more centered and anchored into that energy with each breath. Mm. Right. So, coming back into the space, can you bring that feeling back with you? Can you stay in that place of balance and peace and harmony? Can you let that shift the way you begin to see the world around you and interact with the world around you? Can you bring it forward through the heart? Can you send it out from the heart? Even as you come back into the space you're in, can you let yourself be anchored and grounded and centered into that feeling, into that place? And from that place, what do you think this full moon has really been offering to you healing wise? And can you trust that innate wisdom that you hold? All right, guys, let me know how this lands for you. You can leave a comment below so I can check in and read it. Depending on the word that you chose, what to you is the opposite word of that? What's your word play that you have going on? If you chose peace, what's that opposite feeling to peace? Or what's that opposite feeling of harmony? Or what's that opposite feeling of balance? What is that for you? Because we all might have slightly different terminology that we use, like a different feeling, emotional association that we have with that. So this is where that play on words that I was talking about, examining and exploring that just can kind of open up your awareness a little more and help you kind of see, oh, okay, maybe that's the step beyond in that direction. It brings me to that place, and that's not a place I want to be. So now I know when I'm feeling this, if I just reorient to peace or harmony or balance, maybe that can help me take a step in the other direction. And if I can anchor and ground myself into this feeling, into this more easeful place of being, how much better it helps me approach the outer world and experience the outer world. So something that I want to talk about, because I know we talked about triggers and triggers aligning that with like a catalyzing energy. There's something else I want to talk about too, if you haven't heard of it before. So triggers, of course, carrying that negative connotation, it's triggering like an emotional reaction in you. But not all triggers have to be negative. We have another aspect too, because we also get triggered and feel good feelings. And we tend, this is called glimmers. So we have triggers, which is that negative connotation that is like the heavy energy, the heavy emotions that we feel. I don't like to use the term negative because all emotions are valid. And when we name those emotions as being negative, we almost want to like disconnect from them. And that's not really what's needed. So, um, but to get the point across, I think we all know what a trigger is and the emotional intensity that comes with that. So a glimmer is also a trigger, but it's a trigger of a lighter emotion like happiness or joy or bliss, right? So if you think of a glimmer, which is something like my grandbaby, right? When I have her with me and I get her giggling and she gets that smile, like that's a glimmer for me. Like I instantly am just like, like it just lights my heart up. And so that would be a great example of a glimmer. It is an experience or something that happens that is an emotional trigger of a feel good emotion, right? And so just as we can have these triggers that are in our mind, in our memory that we're like, oh yeah, that's a trigger for me, or oh yeah, that's being recalled right now. We also have glimmers, and these glimmers, which are the lighter emotional states that we experience, we can also turn towards those. So when we experience something that's triggering and it's creating a heavy emotional feeling, we also have the opportunity to then orient ourselves to something that is going to be a glimmer to help with another emotional intensity, but of a lighter emotional feeling. So this is a great example of working with the duality, the polarity of things, right? In a way that helps with our nervous system and the emotions that we're feeling at the time. So being able to recognize triggers and glimmers and recognizing how they can both be catalyst to begin to initiate something inside. So that initiation process is that catalyst. It's initiating a different emotional feeling, or it's initiating you needing to reflect, or have a deeper conversation in yourself, in your inner world, to explore what is there, what needs to be examined, what beliefs are being held to, or what attachments are there, or what memories are there, or what wounds are there that need attention. And so this practice with this full moon is really bringing in that emphasis of recognizing all of it. So don't just focus on what most consider the negative, but also focusing on the positive. Also being able to hold space and know that both exist in this world. There is no only experiencing positive in life. That's just not attainable. So recognizing the polarity, the duality of life is just the reality of life. And the more we get comfortable exploring all the space in between, the easier we get to navigate those in between spaces. So, being able to move from a place of, oh, well, I can anchor into a feeling that I have felt before. I can anchor into an emotional feeling that I've had before. And I can let that guide me. I can initiate my own glimmer if I want to, based off of a positive memory, and allowing that feeling association to come in and to really take over and to help me cultivate a different feeling if I don't like the feeling state that I'm in. So we're talking a lot on emotions because Libra is connected to the heart energy, and Libra is connected to that energy of air. And so we've got a lot of this mindset work going on, a lot of this emotional feeling connection coming. And so this really helps us to be able to navigate all of that in between space so beautifully. And that's one of the things that I absolutely love. I love working in the space in between, that space of no longer, but not yet, where you're working with infinite possibility and potential. It's that space where you haven't quite moved to the next thing yet, but you have all of the creative forces there to really be able to co-create anything that you want with that energy. And that is such a powerful place to be. And to me, that's what this energy is screaming. Like, it is bringing this clarity, this vision for you to be able to look at both sides of things, both polarities of things, and be able to find that path in between that is just so perfect for you, so aligned for you. That to me is the beauty of this energy that we are in right now with this Libra full moon. So I hope you're feeling that. I hope that you are working with that. And I hope that you are finding more clarity with this, that you are really coming to terms with how you navigate being in the awareness of the duality of things. I know that can be a lot for some people. For me, I love it. Like, that's been my whole life. So This is where I excel. This is where I really am like, yes, this is my place of being. I love being able to be in the duality because we are. That is exactly what we are. We are living in this world. You are living in a dualistic world. There's no escaping it. It doesn't matter how great you get at manifesting. So it's why I talk a lot about the law of attraction and why I can't stand it because it's got a very singular view, and that is because they took one of the laws and just highlighted that one as if it's the only one. When you look at all of the laws together, then you have a more clear picture. And so the law of attraction only talks about the attraction portion. It doesn't talk about the law of duality and the opposing forces. And so you totally miss out on the understanding or the law that explains why it doesn't matter how high vibe you get. It doesn't erase the polarities that exist, the dualities that exist. And it's also why no matter how high vibe you get, you're still going to experience challenges and triggers and trauma and life because opposites also attract. The opposing forces are attracting to each other. That is why the law of attraction is really toxic to a lot of people. And I've seen a lot of people in the spiritual communities get so heavily involved with it, and then they end up spiraling and um, like coming into whole breakdowns because it begins to put the blame on the person. Oh, I'm just not high vibe enough. I'm not good enough. I'm not able to adjust my thinking enough. I'm not saying enough positive affirmations. I can't make myself positive enough. These bad things are like have still happened to me, right? And it creates a lot of toxicity. And this is why I speak out against it because I've actually had people in my circle that have experienced that to the point of mental breakdowns. And so it really is a heartfelt work for me to make sure that I share like there are aspects of the law of attraction that's really good, really helpful. But if you take it out of context of the rest of the laws, it falls short and it becomes a toxic practice. And it's toxic because it creates this message to people that it's their fault if something bad happens to them. And are you really going to tell that to someone that experienced a horrific trauma? Yeah, that's not good. So there's so much more to it than that. Yes, we need to be responsible for our energetic frequency. Yes, we need to learn how to embody energy, and we need to learn how to tap into our nervous system and have the ability to initiate an emotional feeling that we want to have, that we want to hold, that we want to be grounded and centered in. Totally on board with that, but not to the point of saying that it must be your fault if something bad happens because you just weren't vibing high enough. That is the epitome of toxic positivity, if I've ever heard it. So, negative emotions have their place too. Anger, hurt, sadness, grief, right? It's just some of them. They all have their place. And they're all just as worthy of emotions to hold and to carry. And they all have a reason for showing up when they do. And if we ignore them and stuff them down and try to pretend to be something that we're not, it just further separates us from our own inner self. And so a lot of people are walking around completely disconnected from how they're truly feeling. And now they're seeking out practices that help them reconnect to themselves because they've been living this lie. So, coming into energy from a place of understanding all of the universal laws and recognizing the toxicity of just highlighting one single law. I mean, if we did that to any of the laws and just singled them out and tried to blow them up, like, they would all be toxic in and of themselves. But together, it's what makes it make sense. It's what makes them the laws of the universe. Not law, not one, but laws of the universe. So if you're not familiar with those, and this is something that you like, the law of attraction, then please look up the other laws. Please educate yourself on the totality of how energy works in the universe so that you have a better understanding. Because the last thing that any of us should want as energy practitioners is for people to feel like they're at fault when they're not, to feel like they should be shamed if they have a lower emotional um, energy because they are experiencing something hard or difficult. That's just not, it's not healthy. So I just want to take a moment to presence that as well. I think it's super important as we continue moving forward and evolving and growing, holding the space for the totality of our emotional range. We are not meant to just stay up here. We are meant to flow into all of it. We're not meant to walk around like we've been lobotomized. We are meant to feel. You gotta feel it to heal it. You can't ignore the sadness that you hold. You can't ignore the hurt, the pain, the grief. You have to feel it. You have to recognize it. You have to know where it is in your body. You have to allow yourself to sit with it, even if it's just for a moment, and then you're like, okay, that's enough. I need to get on to something else. Right? But if you ignore it, if you just stuff it down, if you pretend it doesn't exist to try to just embody some high vibe thing to manifest a better life, you're setting yourself up for failure. Because in the laws of the universe, it doesn't matter how high vibe you are, you will still have the opposing forces come. So there will still be bad things that happen. There will still be challenging times. There will still be things that are triggering or catalyzing, and even things that are traumatic. Without doing the inner work of connecting and knowing yourself in all of those emotions, you're shortchanging yourself and you're shortchanging your ability to sit with those emotions because you keep choosing to run away from them. So let this full moon also be your call to recognize the power of embodying your emotions right where they are, meeting yourself right where you are, and getting comfortable with you, knowing that it's okay if you're holding something heavy. The only way it gets lighter is by recognizing it, by allowing yourself to say, okay, it's okay for me to feel this. And it's okay for me to reach out to someone if I need to, if I'm feeling this and I need support and I need help. I can do that. But people around you don't know that you're really feeling that inside if you don't do that. So let this moon also be your call. That if that's you, if you're carrying something heavy, there are people out here to support you. There are friends in your circle that would be glad to hold space for you. But if you keep pretending that you're happy, if you keep pretending that life is great and you're really struggling deep down, you're not only lying to yourself, but you're lying to everyone around you. And that's part of why you feel exhausted. You're having to mask and put on a show, and you don't need to do that. You need to be real with yourself and with those around you, because the only way you can receive the help and support and receive the love that those around you want to give you is if they know and they understand where you're at and how you feel. And I'm sure a lot of people would be willing to meet you where you are. They'd be willing to sit and listen. They'd be willing to cry with you, to hold space with you, to hug you, to offer you a tissue. Right? But people can't do that if you keep it hidden and you carry it in isolation. And let me tell you, if that's you, if you are someone that isolates, chances are that's a wound in there from something that you've experienced before that has made you afraid to be vulnerable. That's one of those inner reflections that need to be worked on. That's one of those things that you can look at that feeling and examine that feeling and examine the vulnerability behind that, examine the hurt and the pain that's there. Examine your fear that keeps you from reaching out, from connecting, from being authentic in what you're truly feeling. And it allows you the opportunity to think of, well, who's the safest person that I have in my circle, in my realm, in my field that I can reach out to and just say, hey, I'm struggling right now. Do you have time to talk? But if you don't pause to reflect, you won't even get to that step. So let this full moon be your chance to really examine the depth of you and your experience within the world, to really embody your full range of emotions because you are meant to be an emotional creature. You are meant to feel all of the emotions and recognize that they all are important. They all have a reason for being. Help yourself begin to name them, to recognize them. Recognize when maybe you're in a feeling that you don't necessarily want to carry all day or you can't carry all day. And recognize that you have the ability to turn towards a glimmer and to let that kind of be an anchor to help you move into a different feeling state. Working with polarities, working with dualities, it's really a lot of fun for me because it's something I've done for so long. Like, honestly, I can remember back even in high school, I'm talking ninth, 10th grade, like this is something that was already very much a part of my practice, a part of my own self-reflection, my own journey. I didn't know what I was doing at the time fully, but the self-examining and trying to figure out why I was feeling the way I was feeling, what was behind it, what was in there, what was happening, what were the stories attached, what's the beliefs attached, like all of that was such a huge part of my own personal journey and growth for as long as I can remember. So I find playing with the duality a lot of fun. And that is a choice. I get to choose that. For me, that experience is fun. I get to be curious about, oh, what is the opposing feeling to this? Or what is the opposing belief to this? What is a completely different way to look at this thing? And by doing that, it expands your world so, so much. And that is the energy that we are getting into. And that is such a beautiful place to be, in my opinion, in my experience. I know that depending on where you are, it might not be. It might be hard. It might be really difficult. Maybe you're sitting in the heaviness and you're like, yeah, I just don't know that I can get over here. Well, you don't have to go from here all the way over here. Just go to that next step. What's that next lighter feeling? What would that be? Can you name that? you're still playing in the polarity, in the duality of things. You're still playing with navigating the energies of the in between, right? You're just taking a step that's in between. And we can do that. We all have the ability to do that. So as you recognize how this is playing out in your life, as you recognize maybe how some things might be coming to the surface now, and you're like, oh yeah, I see where this polarity has been, where I've been experiencing these different states. Let this be that catalyst for your own transformation. Paying attention to, maybe if there's been a theme coming up lately, right? Like I've noticed one for myself, and it's been really interesting to see how that keeps showing up in like different ways where it's like something slightly different, but there is like this common thread that's like, okay, I get it. This is where I need to open up and expand more. So I'm going to keep exploring this, and I'm going to keep being curious about this, and I'm going to keep asking the questions and sitting with this. And what do I notice with this? Right? It's such a powerful practice. So I think this is far more than just a full moon energy. I mean, this is energy stuff that will help you. This is working with the nervous system, with your mindset, with your emotions. Like this is really just a full circle, everything coming together, really coming into the own core of your being, like how you can work with all of these things. Hmm. So I'd love to know how you're feeling with this. Let me know. And if you're watching this replay later, feel free to drop it in the comments below. I'll still come back and read and respond as I can. But thank you so much for tuning in and listening. I hope this really helps someone out there because you're not alone. We tend to isolate, and perhaps it's that Libra energy that's reminding you you don't have to be alone. There's always people around you willing to help, but they can only help if they know that they're needed. From my heart to yours, happy full moon.